Hey guys, welcome back to the shop for another week of Saturday Night Special. So I got a bunch of stuff for you this week, got a lot of different subject matter, and one of those is going to be the hardness tester that I bought at the recent auction. We're going to go into that. I shared a picture of that over on Instagram, and we had a lot of guys comment and seemed to be a lot of interest in that. So it's a tool that's new to me that I'm learning how to use, and so I filmed a segment to share with you guys that particular hardness tester and then trying it out. And by the way, I've got more videos of the auction coming. We had the two where I went there and then the auction bidding. And what I did was I planned to make one video of going through the plunder, the auction plunder. But there was a lot of stuff there, so I broke it into two videos so that it wasn't so long. So that's going to be coming out next week. So we're going to get into the hardness tester and check that out. And also I picked up some soft jaws for the Kurt Vise. I got those over at KBC Tools, and wanted to get those for the Kurt so that we can utilize those for the last part, one of the last parts for the purge fixture there that I'm doing for Jody over at Welding Tips and Tricks. So we checked those out, and then I want to get those things cut square, and we're going to use the shaper on that, do a little testing with our cutting fluids there, our Tap Magic. So we're going to have the hardness tester and a little bit of shaper action, and I think that's going to be about it. But that's going to fill the hour up. We do have some traveling coming up that we're going to be doing. Abby and I, we're taking some time off, and we're going on a trip, and I expect to get a lot of video while I'm on that trip. So there's going to be probably 2 or 3 videos at least out of that, and I'm really excited about that. And next weekend I should have the last video for the purge fixture there, getting the last component part made, which is going to be the gas tube that goes down the center of that. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get to it. I've got one cool viewer gift that come in that I want to share with you, and then we'll jump over here and get to our hardness tester. So here's our viewer gift of the week. We got a really cool decimal chart, and this was given to me by Thomas Houston from Waxhaw, North Carolina. It's something that he created, and it's on some of the magnetic material there, so we can stick this up on the, I think I'm going to put it on my door right over here. So very cool, Thomas. Looks really cool. It's got the Booth Machine Shop logo up there, and the shop life, and of course the A-Bomb 79. So very nice. We got your fractionals and letter decimal equivalents there. So thank you very much. Awesome gift. So one of the tools that I was fortunate enough to buy at the auction was this hardness tester right here. And another tool that I've always wished that we had around the shop, always liked them, and appreciate the quality and precision that goes into another tool like that. And that's exactly what it is. It's just another tool for the shop. And I don't know if it's something that I'll have to use a lot, but it's going to be something nice to have around here in case we ever want to use it or need it for a certain job. It is a tool that you would most likely find at any kind of production shop or high scale machine shop that produces a lot of parts, where they have to test their component parts that they're machining and manufacturing to make sure that they're within the tolerances that are required. And that's what you use that for. That is a Rockwell hardness tester, so you're using the Rockwell scale on there. And I'm just learning how to use it. I've never used one before. This is the first time, and I did a little reading in my book. I've got the instruction book right there, and then a couple of the guys on Instagram, when I shared a couple pictures of it, they gave me a couple pointers there too as well. So it all made sense, and it was a really nice moment the first time I used it, and that light bulb went off in my head. It's like, oh, that's how this works now. So I'm in no way an expert on the machine and the mechanics, exactly how it works. I haven't delved that far into it. I know how it works, but what we're going to do, I'm going to give you guys a look at it, and I'll show you the parts that I have there with it, and then we'll do some testing and see how it reads, okay? So let's get to it. So I want to start off by saying that it is in really fantastic condition. It's like new. There is one discrepancy on it that I'll show you, but it's been well taken care of. It was inside an inspection room at the shop that I bought it from, so it was kind of protected from the shop elements there. I will mention that this is a hardness tester for both the C scale and the B scale of hardness in Rockwell. So it uses both diamond tips here and also a ball tip there for softer materials. I have not tried it with the ball tips. So that's something that I'll go into later to kind of figure that out there as well. This is considered the anvil, the table that you put your specimens on, or your test pieces right there. This is an elevating screw and elevating handle right there, and this is what you use to bring your workpiece up into the diamond tip right there. And I don't think I mentioned it, this is a Togoshi Seiki company Rockwell hardness tester, as you can see right there. All right, and on the back you have a series of weights, which I've already got it all put together so that we can run it and use it. And that is it's set up for 150 kilogram. That's the weight that's on the back there. And we are using the letter C style of diamond tip. So that is going to be the most common range of testing materials right there for softer steels up to some harder steels. We can the general range of what we'd be wanting is that's suitable right there. Okay. The only problem that I have found with it is this bezel right here, this dial bezel. You should be able to rotate the dial to center up on the needle, and you can see that me rotating it has no effect on the dial face there. So that's the only problem that I see. This isn't causing it to be to where we can't use it. I just think that because you can't center up on the needle perfectly for the 30 and the set mark there, that it's hard to get a perfectly consistent reading every time. But one thing that I did learn and I read about is that typically when you're doing testing for hardness is that you test it 3 times and you take the average of the 3. And I have noticed by just playing with it that you do get a little different reading every time. It may be a half a line, it may be 1 line off usually. There was a couple times that I got 2 lines off, and that's part of playing with it and learning it, is seeing why that is occurring there. So I just want to mention that we cannot set 0 on the needle with the dial bezel there. And it would be, you could probably take this thing and remove it. There's a screw on this side, and you've also got this linkage here that it's hooked to. I'm not worried about it right now. I definitely don't want to get into this and kind of cause any kind of issue since I'm not familiar with this kind of machine. Up at the top here you have your loading lever, and then this is the handle for the loading lever. So once you load it up, you turn this until it drops past top dead center there, and that's where it's gonna lower itself down into the metal. And then once it settles out, you bring this back to that position, and then the dial is going to give you your reading on your the Rockwell hardness reading. It was really sweet that it came with all the original stuff right here. We got this box that's got the other accessories, and it also had all this paperwork with it there as well. So it's got the original blueprints, the instruction manual that tells you all about the machine and how to use it. So I read through that chapter explaining how to actually use the machine, and then it's got information on the different diamond tips and the ball, and the proper weight categories that you have to use. That's the weight system that's on the back of the hardness tester. All right, and then it's also got a blueprint of the machine itself, and all the component parts and what they're called. All right, there's some more. This is all stuff that come with this is just an envelope. This is a test sheet where they tested it out from the factory. And that's another envelope. Oh, I'm sorry. No, this is a chart. So this is pretty cool. This is a chart that gives you lots of different figures on the Rockwell hardness and determining which diamond tip you're using and the weights and that kind of stuff. So really cool. Really happy that all this come with it. And now that I showed you, I'm going to put it up in my filing cabinet so that it is preserved and taken care of. So here is the case with all the other accessories that come with it. And I cleaned it up, by the way. It was a little dusty. They had left the case open under the bottom shelf where this was at, so there was a lot of dust in here. Now, I want to point out that the one the one thing in here that I don't think belongs are these 6 bolts. You've got these 6 bolts right here that were in the box, and I don't think that these have anything to do with the testing unit, but maybe the company that was that had it was using these for something specific. I don't really know. So until I figure that out, I'm just going to leave them in the box there. All right, so then we have these 3 test pucks, you might call them, right here, and you can see that it's been well used and tested, and it shows the Rockwell hardness on there. This one says 33.1 plus or minus 0.5, and then we have this one is 61.5 plus or minus a half. And then this is a super hard one. This says 94.5 plus or minus 1. That one's pretty hard right there. All right, and then you've got 3 different anvils that go on the screw. So the table that's on there now, you can unscrew that and take it off. And in the middle of the elevating screw, you can drop these in there. So this is a little small area right there. I'm not exactly sure what you would use this for. All right, then you got a small V-block there for putting rounds in. We've got an old junky gauge pin right here that we'll use to test it. And so you could hold something round on that. You know, maybe you got a bolt or just any kind of round piece. And you've also got another larger V-block there to put something in. Okay? These are the different diamonds, and one of them is the 16th diameter ball that goes on there for doing this, the softer scale. I guess it would be considered the red scale on the hardness scale there. All right, and then this tray comes out, and then there's another anvil in here, and I don't know if this came with it or not. I'm assuming maybe it did, but there's not a spot for it to actually set. So just a larger diameter anvil. This looks like a shop-made test puck right there, and I've used it a couple times when practicing. It looks to be like a piece of 4140, and then they surface ground it. So, and then there was a piece of paper that somebody had put in there and wrote the instructions on it, on how to actually use it. So back in '09, I just thought I would leave that in there. And then if you want to take the table off, you can set the table right there. So very nice kit that all this stuff was all together with the machine. Here's the weights that go on the back, and you've got 3 separate weights that you can stack up on there according to what materials you are actually testing at. So as I said before, what we'd be doing, you're going to be using all 3 of the weights. So this one just hangs on the loading lever right there. All right, and that's a 60 kilogram weight. And then the next one is going to be your 40 kilogram weight. And then the last one is a 50 kilogram weight. So all those together are going to equal 150 kilograms of preload weight that goes onto the needle there. So let's go ahead and give it a test run on video, and I'll give it a shot just like that so you can kind of see everything, and then I'll give you a close-up shot of the dial on how it works with the other camera. So we're going to use our test puck that says 33.1. All right, we're going to make sure it's good and clean, and I cleaned the table there with my precision bent stone, by the way. And we're going to use our elevating screw, and we're going to bring the sample up to the needle there. And what we're going to do is preload this dial 3 revolutions. And right here there's a small dial, and there's a little red dot, and that needle is going to come around, and then when it lines up on that red dot, you know you're in the right range, which is going to be 3 revolutions there. All right, so there's 1, 2, and what I try to do is just try to get it even on that same 0 every time, since I can't adjust the bezel the way I want to. All right, so there we are lined up on 0. This needle's over there on the red dot, and what we're going to do is release the loading lever, and we're going to let the machine settle out. And what it did whenever we raised this up is that it pushed that piece of metal up into that diamond tip, and it measures hardness by how far it actually penetrates the metal there. So we're letting it settle out. Once it stops moving, okay, it stopped moving there, which is, for this one, it's exactly where we started at. So now once it stopped, we're going to pull this lever back forward, and once we do, it's going to bring the needle back around to what our hardness reads on the dial. All right, so that time we got, looks like 31.5. 31.5. I'm going to go ahead and write that down. All right, and we're going to do it 2 more times. So it's slightly off from what the puck there says at 33.1, but we'll do 3 of them and then take an average. So what we'll do is go ahead and lower the elevation down to unload it. All right, and then I'll just move this over just slightly where you're not in that same divot, and then we're going to bring it right back up 3 times. Lined up on 0 there. Release the lever. We're going to let it settle out. Okay. Pull it back forward. All right, and that time we've got 32.5. Okay, bring it back down off of it. And let me get y'all a better angle. Okay, let's do it one more time. All right, go ahead and release the loading lever. Okay, it's settled out. Let's see what our reading is. All right, looks like we are at 32.5. So once we're done with our reading, we can just lower it back down. Just take the weight off of it there. So there's our 3 measurements that we got there. Added them up to 96.5 and divided by 3. And then I rounded up to 32.2, which is 32.1666 was the actual reading there on the calculator. So I think we would probably just call that, if we were doing a test reading in the shop, we just call it 32 Rockwell. So you guys want to see it in another configuration? Let's go ahead and show it. We're going to put this one back up. And what we'll do is unscrew the table here, the anvil, that's what it's called. Alright, so you see we got the hole in the elevating screw, so we'll use this guy right here. Just make sure everything's clean. Alright, so we got this. I got this gauge pin right here that I found that's been pretty well abused. This was in all that stuff. The ends actually been hammered on some. I can feel them a little bit flared. So we're going to just sacrifice this one. I've already tried it once there on it. So we're going to put it on the anvil and bring it up, and let's test it and see how hard this gauge pin actually is. All right, settled out there. So that's at 58 Rockwell. I'm going to jot that down. All right, one more time on this gauge pin. check it. We're at 58 again, or it's just past 58. I'm going to go ahead and just call it 58 though. So I think that last reading with the gauge pin there was pretty consistent, you know, getting pretty much 58 all three times there. So I'm not going to bother averaging that out. But I hope you enjoyed the little demonstration of the unit here and how it works. And it's been very interesting being able to play with this and learn how to use it. And just going to enjoy having it there. So it did come on a separate table, which I've got here now. It was a fabricated table, and I'm going to probably set it up over in this corner here. And that table has they cut a hole in it so that the elevating screw can go down lower. Right now, if you try to lower it down, it actually hits this table. So there may be a job where you've got, you know, a thicker workpiece and you need to bring this elevating screw down a little bit further. So anyway, there's the initial test with the Rockwell hardness tester, and hopefully you guys enjoyed that. And maybe later on we'll put it back on camera and see it being used for a job. All right, we got some new stuff here for the shop that I want to share with you and talk about. So this is a pair of aluminum soft jaws that I picked up from KBC Tools, and also got a new jug of this Tap Magic for aluminum cutting fluid right there. It's been many years since I've actually used some of this Tap Magic for aluminum, and whenever I was doing the aluminum cutting on the shaper on Jody's fixture, I was having those problems with the finish that it was leaving. So I wanted to pick up some of this and do some testing with it on some aluminum on the shaper there, and as well if we're doing some tapping or anything like that. So I've already been using it a little bit and making some test cuts with it, and so far so good. I have been getting better results with this right here versus other cutting oils, even that A9, that the green cutting oil. So happy about that. But I've got a job coming up. It's another feature of the purge fixture that I want to do, and I wanted to get some soft jaws because I actually don't have any for the vise here. And what I want to do is take this piece of brass tube, and I want to be able to clamp it in the vise and not crush it. Okay, so I wanted some soft jaws that I could take, and I will probably use a ball mill and mill a groove down on each side, a radius on each side, so that whenever we put the tube in there, we can clamp it up, and it actually clamps around the radius of the tube there and doesn't deform it as we apply pressure to it. So that was the idea behind getting these soft jaws, but they're they're valuable in many other applications of the shop there for any other kind of job that you need to machine a step in there to hold something, or mill a pocket to fixture something in there. So I've needed some of these for quite a while. Let's go ahead and open them up there. So nothing fancy about them. They're just extruded aluminum flat bar, 2 inches wide, 1.25 inches thick, and they are 7 inches long there. So they just dress the corners, and then they counterbore the holes for the bolts there. Now I'm not going to leave them like this. I actually would prefer to machine a couple sides on them anyway. So I think we'll do some testing over there on the shaper again on this aluminum and get a nice cut on the back side, and maybe go ahead and dress these other two sides there as well. All right. So while we're on the subject here of getting these from KBC Tools, I contacted Steve over there, Steve Rowe at KBC, and told him what I needed there. I was looking for these soft jaws and some Tap Magic there, so he's always real nice and hooks me up, finds what I need. And KBC Tools has been a long time supporter of the channel now, and they always have some really nice promo codes for the viewers out there to get some discounts on some tools. And they just launched a brand new website in January that makes it much easier to search for items on their website whenever you're looking for tools and supplies over there. So I wanted to show you guys the new website, and let's jump on there and show you the new search features that they have on their website there. All right, guys, let's check out the KBC Tools website and check out their new search engine that they implemented, and now a lot easier way to navigate the website right here. So at the top, you've got the search engine where you can search for different items, and so let's look for those soft jaws that I got. So you can just put in soft jaws, and you see what it does is that it'll populate top suggested items, top suggested categories that you can click on, and then even the manufacturers there. So the ones that I purchased are right here, this particular one. So you can just highlight that if you want to, or you can click on it and go into it, or you can just highlight it and hit add to cart. All right, it's going to drop it right in your shopping cart, and hit continue shopping to continue on. Let's look at the Tap Magic. So there's your list for Tap Magic. You can just click right on that, and then go. It populates everything for the Tap Magic. So there's the one that I got, Tap Magic aluminum for the 16 ounce. And also, if you'll notice right here, they're running a special on their cutting oils and cutting fluids too. So if you click on that shop here, it'll pull you in there, and it lists all of the Tap Magic fluid and all of their other cutting fluids that are on sale, and you can just find what you want, hit add to cart, and drop it right in there. So let's try something else, such as end mill. Let's look up end mill. All right, there's some of their top suggested. And how about Niagara cutter? We all like our Niagara cutting tools, so populate the list right there. Okay, or maybe you're looking for some hardware, such as, let's try an eye bolt. Okay, so there's eye bolts, hoist rings. You just click on eye bolts and bring up a list of your eye bolts. So they have a lot of hardware there too, so you can look up bolts and things like that. So I want to tell you guys that they're offering the promo code again, which is going to be KBC 25AB. All right, and the first 100 customers over there are going to get 25% off their order of $100 or more. So be sure to jump over there, and if you're looking for some tooling or any kind of shop supplies, and use that promo code. You do need to be registered. If you look right up here at the top, you click register. It's real easy to register, just like you would on any other website, so you can log in. If you don't want to do that, you can also call them. You have a chat section right down here. You can chat with somebody. Or if you look at the top, there's the phone number. You can call them up and just order whatever you'd like right over the phone, and just give them the promo code over the phone, or you can fax it in. All right. So they're also running the sale on the Mitutoyo precision tools. So that's going on right now. If you're in the market for some high quality precision tools from Mitutoyo, now's a good time to check that out. And they do offer the flat rate shipping, $10.95 for anything up to 50 pounds. So that's always real nice too. Okay, so be sure to check that out, and don't forget the promo code there, KBC25AB. So let's go over there to the shaper and try out our aluminum cutting again. And what I want to do is at least get 3 sides cut in and make them all the same, make it all uniform, so that whenever we go to our mill vise, we can go ahead and cut our ball radius in there that we need to hold our tube. Okay, and then also I picked up one of these little bottles right here. It's got a very fine tip on it for the fluid. You just squeeze it, and whenever I got this, I cut the tip off before I realized that there was already a little tiny hole in the end of it there. And now when it comes out a little bit more than I want to. It still works, but this one right here should give me a little bit more, control of the amount of fluid that's going to come out at a time. All right. I want to try cutting both of these at the same time. So we're going to load them up in there in line with each other. All right, and then we'll give them a tap. I had somebody ask me about that, about why do you tap it? You don't hit it. So why do you do that? And what you're doing is you're just seating the workpiece onto the parallel there, so I can feel the resistance on that parallel underneath there, and it's bumped down flat. So typically, whenever you you clamp on these vices like this, they have a just slight amount of lift, okay? So typically it likes to lift your workpiece a little bit. So what you're doing is you're tapping it down and you're seating it against that parallel. So now I can't even move it. It's tight against that parallel down there. All right. All right, guys, we're touched off. I am using my shear tool because that's what works really good on this aluminum. I have tested it a couple other times and it worked beautifully if I can get everything done right. So we are running 140 feet per minute. I've got it set at 41 strokes a minute, and we've got a total stroke length there of 16 inches. And that gives you a little runoff on each side there, okay? So I've got it touched off, moved it down 4 thousandths, and let's get going. Yeah, this works pretty good for applying the fluid there. Just give it a little squeeze. We're doing a 20 thousandth step over. Let's see how that looks. We may slow it down to 10, which is our slowest that we have. Looks like it's only cutting the rear jaw right now. That finish is looking beautiful to me. There is one line across there. I don't know what caused that. I have no idea, but I did put a 12-inch scale across here. Seems like the two pieces of material were not exactly the same thickness, so these could possibly just be from a different bar. Maybe they're not the same uniform thickness there. So we'll just go down a few more thousandths until we clean both of these up. Looks like we got it that time. I went down another 4 thousandths. That seems to be cleaning up both of them. Look how pretty that cut is on that aluminum. It's absolutely gorgeous. And this is why I was getting frustrated when I was doing Jody's fixture, because I had done one piece before with that tool in aluminum and it looked like that. So I think there was something going on with that particular piece that was causing it to kind of be gummy and streaky. But the Tap Magic aluminum seems to be working really well for this as well. All right, so you can see we've got some low areas here we haven't cleaned up yet. So I'm going to do another 4 thousandths and take another cut across there. Looks great, absolutely beautiful. I went ahead and made one more pass across there with 2 thousandths depth of cut. I slowed it down to a 10 thousandth step over. it gives it what looks like almost like a ground finish on it, but it's absolutely gorgeous. Nice and smooth, and it looks great too. We're going to take these blocks and flip them over and do the opposite side now. I think I'll leave this face uncut. That's typically the area that you're machining. Parallel's tight, I can't push it through there.